Hey everyone, Jacob here from Painted4Combat, and if you've watched either of my recent videos, these terrain tiles will be familiar to you. And today we're printing a bunch of them. Let's get to it. These are dungeon blocks, a grid-based terrain system for tabletop gaming that replaces traditional battle maps or dungeon tiles with no clips and no magnets. You just slot them together, almost like building your maps from giant D&D Lego bricks. In my last couple of videos, I printed off a couple of smaller sample sets, and have really fallen in love with the system. So much so that I've already printed off a giant grid that fully covers the 32-inch TV that I usually use for D&D battle maps. And today we're going to start filling it up with its very first map. Today I'll be printing an FDM, and because the system requires no supports for the FDM parts, we could just throw the blocks into our slicing software and we're ready to go. Personally, I scale all of my dungeon blocks down to 91.4%. I find that this works a little bit better for standard D&D base sizes, but still keeps all of the functionality of the dungeon blocks system. Now that we have all of our blocks laid out, I'll be printing all of these with a 0.4mm nozzle, and my printer's default 0.2mm layer height standard print profile, with just one very minor tweak. I dropped the top surface speed from its default 200mm a second all the way down to 30, just to make sure I'm getting as smooth a possible top layer on any of those flat tile blocks. Today I'll be printing all of these dungeon blocks on the ELEGOO Neptune 4 Pro, one of ELEGOO's current generation of FDM 3D printers. I like the Neptune 4 Pro because it has a relatively large build volume of 225 by 225 by 265mm, which means we can print off a bunch of blocks on a single build plate. And with its preloaded clipper firmware, it can print up to 500mm a second, so we'll be able to get these dungeon blocks printed off fast. It also supports features like pressure advance and input shaping to maintain high-quality, detailed prints at these speeds. And with its dual-gear direct drive extruder and custom hot-end assembly, it'll be able to print at those speeds with no heating issues. ELEGOO were kind enough to send this printer over for the video, so you should definitely treat this video as an ad. If you want any more details about this printer or the slicing software that I'm using, you can check out my first look video down below. It came out last week and goes over everything from unboxing and setup of the Neptune 4 Pro to printing some great looking terrain and miniatures with the printer. And if you want to pick up a Neptune printer, or any of ELEGOO's other products, there are some affiliate links down below. If you choose to purchase anything after clicking one of those links, a small amount of your purchase will be kicked back to me to help support the channel, at no extra cost to you. In total, for all 188 blocks, it took about 81 hours to print. Give or take a couple of hours for a few minor print failures, and we used about 1.7 kilograms of filament. 81 hours might sound like a long time, but broken down, that's under half an hour per block on average. And you have to take into account that that's including some of the larger pieces. The various risers, the tall walls, and the gates, which all took over an hour, if not more, each, which means that our smaller blocks probably didn't take any longer than 15 or 20 minutes on average. With those speeds and in that time frame, it means I was able to print all of the blocks for this project in a single week, which is kind of crazy for me coming over from previous generation printers, where a project like this easily would have taken double the amount of time, if not triple or more. But now that they're all printed, it's time to paint. Now that we have our mountain of plastic printed and painted, let's get to building our battle map. And when I tell you this was satisfying, having all the pieces just slot into place. No need to clip a bunch of pieces together, no need to install a bunch of magnets, and they all just fit. The tolerances are great. And having such a seamless grid all come together like this is beautiful. If the Dungeon Blocks team happen to see this, feel free to steal my idea for the paint jigs. It made the painting experience way faster, so much fun, and the payoff was awesome. Thanks again to ELEGOO for sending me the Neptune 4 Pro, which we used to print all of the blocks that you saw here today.